All right, so just a banner day for the wide receiver position in the NFL.
Oh, what happened?
In and around the NFL yesterday, and then, over the past couple of days, I would say. First and foremost, Julio Jones is back. He is now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Because, of course, the Eagles would sign, a guy who's a potential Hall of Famer who's on the open market. Of course, because that's what Philadelphia does. They continue to add talent. So that to go along with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert and all the other weapons they have there on offense in Philly. They add Julio Jones. He's back. So nice little SEC connection there in the wide receiver room with A.J. Brown and obviously Smith and now Jones. Philly adds another piece there. So more talent on the roster for Sirianni to use. How we feel about that?
I mean, he's got a ton of experience. I think he can be reliable when you need him. He was one of the best receivers in the NFL in NFL history when he was at his peak. So I like the move for that. That's from that standpoint. It's just, we're not quite halfway through the season. I do find it interesting when front offices make certain moves to bring in guys who, look, as good as Julio Jones is, he's not going to be A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. And so at best, he's the third option maybe. And that probably comes after the running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. Name your pick who's going to be that option. And he's not going to help you on special teams. So it's a roster spot that's really devoted to saying we want to take this guy because we feel like he can help us. And maybe that's down in the red zone. I know a lot of teams have really struggled with their offensive play in the red zone. And maybe he can help us once we get into the playoffs. And we have to have a difference maker out there that we feel good about his experience as a mismatch. But outside of that, it's kind of an interesting move.
Yeah, I think if he shows he can still run good routes, he doesn't even have to be crazy fast. I think just because of the respect factor that he would bring to the field, I could see it being him being a possession receiver for one. In special situations, like you mentioned, maybe red zone, but maybe even just it could be short yardage situations, but it could be decoy situations as well.
He was pretty good in the playoff game for Tampa last year.
Yeah, I think if you have to roll coverages or you can't, again, and it's so interesting. I had this conversation yesterday as well, and I just think it's going to become a prevalent conversation that the National Football League is going to turn into man-to-man coverage. Like, zone coverages are going to become a scarce option.
Hell yeah.
You're going to have to play man-to-man in the National Football League just because of the way the rules are set up, the way penalties are being called, just, the amount of time that quarterbacks have. You're just going to have to play man and try to overload the line. So if you're doing that, the more guys that you have that can handle man-to-man coverage as well, the better off you're going to be. And maybe this is just a response to them losing their first game. Maybe it's like, hey, we need a little bit more firepower. Oh, Julio Jones is out there. Let's go.
Yes, I feel like it's like a panic move. It's like, what do we do?
How did we lose?
Hit the panic button. Go, who's out there? Who's out there? Julio Jones, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Okay, let's bring him in.
Yeah.
Yeah, go get him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do.
That's the problem. Like Jonas, when you walk into someone's front offices, that's how they react. I'm not lying. You walk in there, it's like they're the cap crunch numbers guys, They're not like the players who are like, oh man, you know what? We got another one next week. We'll get out there.
So they got to be the ones to make it all make sense. Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, he's there, and it's another opportunity for, the Alabama connection to be rekindled elsewhere, not just with Devontae Smith, but now you got, Jalen Hurts, and you've got Julio, and you've got – so there's at least some options there. But it is funny how it's always the usual suspects. It's always teams like Miami and Philly and San Francisco who are adding all of the players that are out there and players that have legitimate credentials to their career. It's always those same teams. It's like what the Rams used to do a couple years ago.
Players want to go to those places.
You don't think
keep that in mind.
Did Julio Jones have some options elsewhere, do you think?
Probably not, but – with that being said, maybe they didn't think they were a viable option to go talk to Julio in the first place.
Well, there's a former Eagles wide receiver who's in the news also, but for different reasons. As we continue to take a gander around the wide receiver stories in the NFL, Terrell Owens hit by a car on Monday night. A possible intentional act following a pickup basketball game.
By who?
I mean, listen, in borderline Skid Row, Calabasas, California.
Whoa, Calabasas is nice, man.
It's rough out there in Calabasas.
Nice.
You know?
I'm the bad
nicer
guy.
training facilities I've been to when I went out there.
A little surprising that would happen in Calabasas this time of year because, pumpkin in Spanish is calabaza. Don't know if you guys are aware of that.
I knew you knew that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a home game for me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Terrell Owens potentially gets into some sort of a beef with some guy at a pickup.
But he's
basketball
okay,
game.
right?
Yeah, he's
They disclosed what type of car it was. Was it like a Rolls Royce or Spur or Lamborghini? Or
I don't know.
Like?
I think it was a Chevy Malibu, which coincidentally enough is what Lee drives. So I don't know if Lee had anything to do with it, but might have been pissed off about some fantasy football transaction that went wrong starring T.O. years ago.
But seriously, he's okay though,
Yeah,
right?
he's
It wasn't
fine.
like no serious injuries.
Nah, he
reported,
didn't need
right?
medical attention or anything like that, so he should be good.
Okay.
A little hit and run never hurt anybody.
I mean,
I'll
but
call
there
it
were a
basketball
couple
game.
former pro receivers, like top end receivers, that made the news yesterday.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say it is possible, considering the area, that maybe the person driving the car thought Terrell Owens was that mountain lion that was hopping across the freeway, because that is in the same area.
Wow.
So I'm just saying that is a possibility.
PETA, are you listening? Apparently,
that's
Jonas
why-
Knox does not care whatsoever.
You got to ask, though, because
Hold
they
on.
did take K9 up out of here, man.
They did.
KP9 was like a beloved servant of the community.
Yeah.
P22
got P187.
Was it P22?
Yeah, by somebody.
P22. Okay.
Yeah, there. By the way, Sam, can we hear your mountain lion sound effect, please? It sounds just like a regular lion. So I don't know if they sound like that, but we then transition over to
wanna find out.
the final story from the wide receiver roundabout here on a Wednesday morning. LaVar's guy Antonio Brown has been arrested.
Oh no.
Yeah. LaVar arrested failure.
What now?
with
Not
child
LaVar arrested.
Yeah.
Antonio arrested.
Yeah, but your guy, Antonio Brown.
Okay.
He was arrested for failure to pay, was it child support? Is that what finally got him?
Been
Yeah.
it booming.
Not really.
That good.
But been it not booming.
LaVar,
Now
what's
you got to
going,
come out with a sequel.
what's going on with your guy there?
Listen, if you got all that money, man, which I ain't in nobody's pocket, but
Business is booming.
Why would
if
you be
you're
in his
claiming you
pocket?
got all that money, just
play a
take
pocket
care of
pool
your
with him?
child support,
Yeah.
man.
Why are you always in my pocket talking about fines?
Just pay your child support so you ain't got to be in the news about something like this, man. That's support your child.
Yeah.
He's the daddy.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
Who knew Jerry Jones was going to stop by this early in the morning?
Who's your dad?
Great to hear from Mr. Jones.
Settle down just a little bit.
So that is
But
a
seriously, how you guys feel about that? Like when you hear that someone like Antonio Brown, it just, to me, this just further continues to solidify that he needs help. Like he needs, and I almost feel like it's an intervention help, not just passive help.
Can I
He needs help.
Can I be honest with you? I couldn't care less. I don't have time for that crap in my life. If the guy wants to be a zero, let him be a zero. I'm not going to waste my time worrying about whether or not he can, quote unquote, get it together after he's had every opportunity in the world. Sorry.
But what if he
Bigger
really
issues.
needs help, Jonas?
Well, if he needs help, he needs to get some milk. He needs some help.
Milk.
I mean,
Get some milk.
to go get some help. You want some, you can't.
Yeah,
you can only do so much. People
But
got to want to help
generally-
themselves.
Yeah, I
When
agree
people
with
need
that.
help, and I know Jonas. I know you're well versed on it. I get it.
What do you mean?
Help.
Well,
Needs somebody. Help. Anybody. Help. Help.
Is that the Beatles?
What's that?
Sam, what was that?
Him downstairs.
Milk and cookie.
Yeah, him
Get some milk and
downstairs.
cookie.
Love Bernie back.
Him downstairs. He said you need to get some milk and cookies.
Hey, Bernie Mac's in the open to our show every morning.
By the way, that is a song by the Beatles.
Wrong. That's Jonas's favorite part.
Oh my God!
I could imagine, though, when they was grabbing up Antonio Brown. Hit that one again. Sam.
Come on, man.
That's what happened when they was walking him off.
And they take him to the car, and he's like, "Oh, you fat mother effer.
You do, you fat mother."
I could see Antonio Brown having that dialogue on his way to the car, man.
Every time. By the way, the Players Club probably was not meant to be a comedy and turned into one of the great comedies of all time. There's some questionable scenes in there.
Who are you talking to like that?
Talking to your ass.
Sir, you are under arrest. Who you talking to?
Oh, but when Jamie Foxx is the DJ, he's like, you know, they say tricks are for kids, and she's got 40 of them. So good. Oh, man. But again, Antonio Brown, who knows? Figure it out.
In these moments, you just always, when you see a guy like him, you see so many people around him. He has such
a posse?
A posse, entourage, support group of sorts. And in these moments, you start to think to yourself, man, where are all these people that be around? I bet you, if I were a betting man, I bet you there's dudes that are asleep in his home right now while he's locked up. And that's kind of the lifestyle that a lot of pro athletes and pro athletes think they're entertainers type dudes. They live those type of lives. And then you start to think to yourself, what do I have all of these people around me for?